Rosanna's journey to self-love and power. Rosanna came to me as she was entering into a new relationship that held a lot of promise for her. She believed that if she was able to get out of her own way and not repeat the patterns from her history, she might actually be able to experience loving and being loved just the way she wanted. She had enough awareness to know that the real issue that had created problems for her was rooted in her inability to truly love herself. She'd been told by previous boyfriends, "You need to learn to love yourself." And although it sounded true and she really, really wanted to, she didn't know how to do that at all. "I don't even know what that means," she complained. "I think I'm good to myself. I buy nice things for myself and treat myself to chocolate and cakes when I'm feeling down. I know how to cry and really get it out when I'm sad. I can stand up for myself and tell people to leave me alone when I'm angry. I think I understand about boundaries and talk about what I need, so what am I missing? What am I doing wrong? I also know that when I'm alone, I usually just feel bad. Not exactly sad, just unhappy. Yes, that's it. Underneath it all, I'm unhappy, dissatisfied with myself, with my life. I guess I'm just not successful enough. I have a decent job. I did everything that was expected of me, and I'm living the life that was supposed to bring me happiness. But I do not have happiness. No, not really. Not really," she said, as if the realization was just sinking in for the first time. "I think that if I was more successful, I'd be happier." The man she had met was exceptional in his capacity for intimacy and his ability to express love, something she had never experienced before. This had motivated her to invest the time in herself to clean up her own act, so that perhaps she could be that loving too. She shared with me that just prior to meeting this guy, she'd gone on a yoga retreat, which had been a very weird experience for her. She felt that the exercise and the diet and the space pushed her into a different feeling that was unfamiliar to her, not comfortable, but somehow she knew it was good for her. Rosanna worked for a startup that demanded everything from her, and she ran from the moment she woke up till the time she went to bed. She felt exhausted most of the time and had a long history of anxiety. Her doctor told her that she was suffering from adrenal exhaustion. She shared that she always felt like she was having to run to catch up with everything and everyone. She had dated a lot, but never felt like she had a boyfriend. She had people in her life that had disappointed her and let her down because she felt that she was invisible to them. The way she felt invisible to her friends was that whenever she expressed her needs, they seemed to either turn on her or accuse her of being emotionally needy or simply ignore her and exit from her life either quietly or with drama and blame. She felt invisible everywhere, in her family, in her work, in her relationships. She was beyond frustrated and seeking spiritually to find herself, although it was not easy or natural for her to see her challenges and her life through a spiritual lens. She was open to the possibility that everything that was happening for a reason, and with my support, she started to see that everything that was being presented to her was perfect and exactly on time, and it contained the correct ingredients for her growth. Not for her comfort, but for her growth. She proceeded to cultivate this perspective of purposefulness and practiced every opportunity she got, and she found that she had plenty of opportunity. Rosanna had displayed in her working life a certain level of responsibility and maturity. Her integrity was high in relationship to her work ethics. Her personal life seemed to function under a different law. In her friendships and her romantic relationships, she seemed to collapse and expect others to extend the greater effort and carry the burden of responsibility. She just seemed to hide out and want to give as little as possible, yet had high expectations for how others should show up. She expressed concern and a lack of pride in how she participated with those she loved, and wondered why she simply did not exert a high level of effort in her relationships. She complained of feeling almost paralyzed. This choice, she recognized, made her dislike herself and kept her in the trap of repression and self-loathing, which is one expression of the wounded third chakra. It can also express itself in the opposite direction of overgiving and setting up a pattern of doing everything, feeling resentful and dominating the other for being lazy and taking advantage of them. I noticed in her communication a very subtle negativity beneath a very caring, friendly, kind veneer. This was a thin thread that exposed the way that she actually related to herself inside the confines of her own mind, being much more critical and demanding of herself than she was of anyone else, as if she was saving up all her loathing for herself. I asked her to just speak out her thoughts at the moment that she came up with them. I hate myself. I'm mean, lazy, and ugly, and disgusting. I can't do anything right. I just don't know what it is. There's something wrong with me. There must be. No one wants to love me. Something bad, something fundamentally is wrong with me. After this conversation, there was little need but much interest in talking to the subconscious to see if that conversation matched this one. I know that by now it's fairly obvious that if there were the internal conversation, the external reality would need to reflect it, which of course it was. Fortunately, Rosanna had come to me while her relationship was still young, in its period of grace that we are all granted, before the patterns start to impact us that can destroy the energy and chemistry that brought us together in the first place. This made me optimistic about the future possibilities for this relationship. As we started with the next session, we went straight into the conversation with the subconscious. The thing that isn't working in my life is relationships, and the reason is there's something wrong with me. I'm a failure. Can't get anyone to love me. There's something wrong with me. I don't know. I'm just not good enough. I'm not beautiful. I'm not interesting. It's hopeless. It'll never work. I'm just not good enough. I hate myself. This story really reveals the intimate connection between the chakras. For the purposes of this book, and in the interests of clarity, I have separated the chakras. And in reality, this separation is much more blurred. Very often, chakras will work together, and the third and the fourth chakra often act together, both when they are wounded and when they are healthy. Also, a third chakra wounding, although always rooted in a feeling of unworthiness, can play itself out in its opposite pole of being overly critical, picky, perfectionism, finding others to be not good enough, or the pseudo puffed up self-aggrandizing that can happen but is rarely believed by the self or others, illustrating the ego's way of finding a way to protect itself from discovering and protecting its own deeply rooted vulnerability. With Rosanna, things were pretty straightforward from this point on. We created an MP3 with all the opposite positive affirmations, the breath work, and the music to raise the emotional frequency. The emphasis for Rosanna was really in the yoga practice, mainly because of the practical application of the principles learned in the presence practice, as this practice elevates the idea of loving the self to an act, a practice. Because of the enthusiastic inclusion of the physical body in her transformation, Rosanna moved rapidly into her personal transformation. She participated in the third chakra practice for 2 months because she enjoyed the first month so much. She was ready to raise from the limitations of these old beliefs and really allow herself to have the love that was standing in front of her and the love that was rising up from within her. The last time I saw Rosanna, she was basking in the glow of Cupid's arrow striking her heart. She commented that the work we had done together enabled her to notice the first moment that her mind attempted to seduce her into her old thinking patterns. The yoga practice had helped her to be awake enough to stop the cycle with her willpower and redirect her mind towards visualizing what she wanted rather than dwelling inside the worry and the fear. This shift was enough to radically change her reality and her experience of love. She found herself worthy to receive it by shifting her negative judgments of herself, which were rooted in her negative inner dialogue, which once fully illuminated with awareness lost their power and their influence over her life. This allowed her to show up inside her relationship and participate fully, representing herself for all that she is. This shifted her out of the repressive cycle of being less than she is and freed her to show up with full emotional maturity, taking responsibility for being the best Rosanna that she can be, which magically allowed her to accumulate energy and strength gathered from the experience of doing her best. This new vital life force supported her in rebalancing her adrenal exhaustion so that she could come back to her health. Wow, she said, I really do see how powerful thoughts are. They create your life. I don't think anything is more powerful than changing your thoughts, except perhaps living with self-love first, then loving others. Rosanna and I created a script that she worked with in the 3rd month of our time together, and this is how that script went. It was a surprise to her that she had been so consistently negative with herself and that she'd spent so much time worrying about herself, her life, and her future. The script that we created together, and with her agreement, we started with the 3rd chakra affirmations to get her grounded in the correct energy and the correct affirmations for this chakra. You are perfectly loved and lovable, just as you are right here and right now. As you now choose to extend compassion and kindness to yourself, always choosing self-forgiveness, self-assurance, and self-support, you graciously accept and activate the full potency of your power, which has pure motivation to love and to serve. You are now willing to see your own magnificence. You are unique and valuable and important. You have the power to express your own uniqueness and value through all of your thoughts and all of your actions. You deserve to be loved. You now choose to love and approve of yourself by demonstrating perfect mastery in your life. You are powerful, valuable, and loved. You trust your inner voice. You are strong, wise, and powerful. You now honor yourself with all of your thoughts and all of your actions. You are kind and compassionate with yourself, with all of your thoughts and all of your attitudes about yourself. You now sustain a strong connection to the truth of your own perfection and your own divinity. The truth is, you are already perfect. You allow yourself to feel the truth of your own perfection any time that you choose. Whenever you are feeling something different from that, you choose to reconnect with this truth. You are a successful woman. You have many successes in your life, and you now expand into the confidence that arises from remembering your successes. Recall now the memory of how that felt and allow all of your cells to be bathed and soaked inside that healing vibration so that your body is able to recreate that feeling in your present and in your future. Trust that we have set that intention and your body is now responding to this invitation. Many people have loved you in your life, and many more people will recognize your light and naturally love you. The truth is, you are beautiful and interesting and charismatic, and you are enough as you are already perfect, whole, and complete. Rosanna continued to work with the third chakra toolkit, nourishing her subconscious with positive thoughts and vibrations until she felt the release of her own inner dialogue. Finally, she fully understood that truly loving herself required a positive, nurturing consciousness, a liberation from negativity, and a choice to inhabit high emotional vibrations. It required taking responsibility to navigate back to positive thoughts and feelings each time she noticed she was slipping into old habits that created disconnection and unhappiness. Do you recognize anything of yourself in Rosanna? If so, make sure that you identify your negative cycle of thought so that you can feel sure that you have the whole thing. The Chakra 3 Clearing MP3 is an excellent tool for this discovery. You can also set intentions for your dreams to reveal to you everything that you need to know so that this cycle to be illuminated into the conscious awareness when you are awake. If you need help in getting this information and you want my personal assistance with this, you can call me and we can talk. The bottom line is whatever you say to yourself when you are feeling really confident is what you need to say more of.